Good morning. This is the Great Basin prescribed fire briefing for Friday, March 8th. Looking at prescribed fire activity, a few projects here locally down in southern areas. We are starting to see an increase in activity of projects up into the higher terrain out by McCall in Idaho. So it's getting to be that time of year. Precipitation the past 7 days, significant amounts, a half inch to an inch and a half of liquid precipitation across northern and central areas, dry in the south for a change. But you don't have to go too far north, up into northern Idaho, a large portion of Montana and the Pacific Northwest to see the continuation of the very dry winter of the past several months, and that's reflected in the snowpack where central areas, southern Idaho into much of Nevada and Utah, snowpack well above normal, 148%, 152, 130%. But you get up towards the northern parts of the Salmon Chalice and further up into Idaho, and you see a sharp drop off by almost a third to a half. And many areas are only 50, 60, 70% of normal as we're approaching peak snowpack, which usually occurs in late March. Fuels on the 100-hour side very moist in most areas, starting to slowly dry out in the south, and the upper level satellite imagery shows a ridge of high pressure building in across much of the west coast. Cold northerly flow across much of the Great Basin. Next storm system taking shape off the British Columbia coast. And you see that today with a high pressure ridge on our models, the moisture off the Pacific Northwest coast. This cloud band was over us the last 2 days. Now, in terms of dispersion or ventilation, excellent in the white, decent in the yellow, starting to go down a little bit in the red, but it's usually the purples that really show stagnation. We don't see that much of it. Winds starting to pick up a little bit in the 10 to 20 mile an hour range. We see the greens at the surface. Relative humidity, bone dry in the south, low teens, but most other areas, central and northern areas, anywhere from 30 to 50%. Transport winds. Now, winds are coming out of the north-northeast. You can see the transport winds anywhere, again, from 15 to 25, even some downslope gusts of 30 plus miles an hour, 40 down in the St. George area. That's where we have good vertical mixing. Now, tomorrow, as we get into the weekend, high pressure and control, clear skies, improved dispersion. A lot of that is with this weak trough of low pressure approaching. We'll see some surface winds picking up through here. The humidity level's quite similar. You see the stronger transport winds across parts of northern and western Nevada, 30, 40 miles an hour, starting to push into parts of western Utah and much of Idaho, and into even parts of Wyoming. Mixing heights all are several thousand feet above ground level. Sunday, a lot of white on the map, very little red or purple, so excellent overall dispersion, but clouds increasing with this next storm system. Not a strong one, but I would say weak to low and moderate. Again, very little change in humidity, very dry in the far south, otherwise 30 to 50%, even higher as the cloud shield. You get into it in parts of western Idaho. Transport winds, they were out of the north, now they're shifting to the south and quite strong ahead of that storm system, 30, 40 miles an hour. A lot of areas, good vertical mixing as well. Days 1 through 3, precipitation accumulation. This is later in the period. There's that leading edge of the next storm system, maybe a quarter to a half inch, so it could be 3 to 6 inches of snow in the higher terrain. Going into Monday, that storm system, first week one, pushes into eastern areas, much of northern Utah, western Wyoming. Another somewhat stronger one starting to approach from the west. Again, good vertical mixing and that kind of an active pattern. And on Tuesday, you see the entire Great Basin enveloped in clouds and moisture. This will be our next storm system. This could bring somewhat lower snow levels and more longer duration precipitation, bringing excellent ventilation, but maybe making fuels too wet for good burning. That storm system lingers in at least the eastern half of the Great Basin on Wednesday, and remains this way with this latest computer model run. It actually closes off a low pressure area near Las Vegas, as opposed to bringing this trough further out to the east. So this would keep clouds and moisture, at least light precip, if not moderate, across eastern areas, dryness into far western areas of the Great Basin, and That's next Thursday. So days 4 and 5 precipitation. This is Monday night through Wednesday night. You can see moderate to decent amounts, anywhere from a half inch to maybe almost an inch of precip, where you see the blue and lighter blue shades and even some of the darker greens. But widespread least light precip covering about 90% of the geographic area. And then by Wednesday through Friday, looks like just some light precipitation across the eastern areas, but remaining on the cool side. This is our 7-day total. And the 8 to 14, the outlook does show a trend towards warmer than normal and drier than normal conditions. So definitely some springtime weather is expected in the longer range forecast. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.